Alright, so we have some changes coming that will affect the build that I am playing, the Skeletal Arsonist Summoner. And so I want to go over that before I update the build guide. I've been meaning to try and update the build guide, but there have been a bunch of problems. I've been trying out a bunch of different, like, tree pathings and stuff, which have kind of had their issues. Hopefully soon I'll finish this, but there is an incoming nerf for Skeletal Arsonists that I want to go over. So, if we go here, Skeletal Arsonist spirit costs are going to be the same as Frost Mages and Storm Mages. Basically, what this means is that you are not going to be able to have as many Arsonists as you had before. So right now, I have 12 Arsonists. Ignore this UI. This keeps bugging because I keep trying to re-record this video. I have 12 Arsonists with 3 Clerics, Grim Feast buff, and the Raging Spirits buff. Now, without changing any of those buffs or the Clerics, I can see how many Arsonists I'm going to have after the update. And the way you do this is just simply grab a Frost Mage gem as close to the same level as the Arsonist gem you have. This one's only 18, so I have to put a Minion Mastery gem in to get it up to 19. And that does actually lower the Spirit Reservation cost by 1, so it is relevant. So after the update, I will have only 9 Arsonists, assuming I don't change anything else. And that's with a Spirit amount of 413 that I have. Now, is this going to kill the build? Absolutely not. Not even close. This build is absolutely still going to have enough damage to do everything. As a matter of fact, honestly, there are other changes that are going to make it even easier to start up and not be as much of a suffering time while progressing through maps, because there are issues with going ES, and actually, those issues are the reason I went ES, which is like chaos damage. ES actually takes double damage from chaos, so you might think, well, why would you go ES to counter chaos damage? It's because you just get that much more of a pool. You can actually get more survivability out of the ES. So, I got this. I got a decent ES pool. Also, Grim Feast is just really strong, and it scales from minion gems, which makes it really, really strong. Lets you overheal ES, which is sick. And yeah, like, it's... Let's just go over the patch notes. Or rather, the listed changes, because these aren't full patch notes. Maps no longer have additional elemental resistance penalties applied at tier 6 and tier 11. I was wondering why I was suffering trying to fix my elemental, all my resistances, and struggling, I couldn't find sockets to put something like Chaos Red Soul Cores in, even. Because, I was having to deal with elemental resistances as well. This is going to give us more room to deal with that, and even room to overcap for the elemental weakness curses in maps. So that's great. Chaos damage is also going to be less powerful in endgame, or rather, enemy chaos damages. The volatile plants are also nerfed. And breach encounters are going to have less monster density, which is incredibly important because, well, basically, your success in a breach was entirely determined by the first 10 seconds of it. If you got overrun and you did not clear them fast enough, you were dead. That's basically it. And maybe that will still be the case after the patch hits. Because sometimes you just manage to get, a 50% resistance map with elemental resistance aura on the rare, and then it's also fire resistant, and then it has 800 bajillion fucking fire res, so sometimes that just happens, and you get a bunch of those, and you just die. And a Beyond Pack spawns, and just goodbye. But yeah. Anyways, that aside, there's also another thing that I reported, and I know they're aware of, that might also help us with things like Breach. The Fairy Death support gem, if I go in-game here real quick. That support gem, if it supports a minion, it literally would never go off. The only way the support gem ever worked is if the ignite inflicted was inflicted by you yourself. For some reason, when supporting a minion, it would never work. Even if it was from like the Hellhound's aura or an actual ignite hit that the minion causes. Does not matter, would not proc. If this changes, maybe the clear is going to be a little bit better even. Hopefully that changes, because it's supposed to work, but it just simply doesn't for some reason. Alright, with that said, I want to go over another change that they are doing, which is adding the bidding support gem, which gives more damage to command skills. Now, this has one use case that is interesting. Arsonists, even if you could use it, the mana would absolutely, like, your mana pool would absolutely just get destroyed. You would need EB, but the life threshold required for the Arsonist command skill is just way too low. Probably needs to scale with monster life increases on your tree, and even then it might still be too low. So, Arsonist not usable. Storm Mages require a dead reviving minion to use it. I honestly, you can get that through an offering skill. I honestly don't know how effective that's going to be. It's kind of hard for me to tell, and I haven't really had good experiences with Storm Mages in general. Maybe somebody else makes it work better than I do. I don't know. Skeletal Frost Mages do have a relevant command skill, but not enough for me to want to put this gem on. The Skeletal Frost Mage command skill does about like 4 times or so the damage of their auto attack, but their auto attack can also shotgun if you put scatter shot on it. So it almost feels like a wasted input in a way. Like, you probably would use it if you have nothing else to do, but you have things like curses, like cold exposure from Frost Bomb, like Eye of Winter for crit chance, because Frost Mages have a really high base crit, which means their crit scaling is actually pretty good. And you would probably want to use Eye of Winter anyways, even if you have like a Maliceptor, because it ramps the critical weakness way faster before Malice has the time to ramp. Like, just putting Unleash on Eye of Winter makes it really easy to basically almost crit cap, or cap the crit weakness buff effect. So there are other things I feel like you would rather do with Frost Mages. So I struggle to see you ever wanting to put in the support gem. There's just other better things for it. Reavers, I don't think it does anything because it's not an attack. But where it does do something, and something interesting that I might even try on the build I'm playing now, is Skeletal Archers, actually. So, a few things I want to discuss with that. Skeletal Archers have the same spirit cost, I believe. Yes. Same spirit cost as Skeletal Arsonists do, at a baseline right now. Their quality also reduces reservation, though, which is nice. But you aren't looking to max out the Skeletal Sniper count, because again, this is about the bidding support gem. And what the bidding support gem is important for is the gas arrow command, which can detonate. Now, those of you that know, gas clouds can ignite from ignited enemies entering them or using a detonator skill. Very easy to ignite enemies because of this little guy right here, which has a burn aura. So, if enemies go near the dog and the dog is in a gas cloud, that gas cloud will explode and do a large amount of damage. You're not going to see it ignite here because there are no enemies to ignite. I don't have a detonator skill, so yeah. But it does a lot of damage. And it is all converted to fire, which means that we could use something like a mix of archers and arsonists if we wanted. And we would be able to get 2 different things that scale fire damage. And the reason you would also mix and match the snipers with the arsonists is pretty straightforward. The gas arrow obviously has a cooldown, but the cooldown is going to refresh over time. So eventually you will reach a point with these archers where I almost hit the number. I have to have one more. But basically, the cooldown is going to come back by the time you would have run out of charges. So, there is basically like a critical mass of types, or something like that, of Skeletal Archers to have before having more is not going to do that much. Outside of give them more auto attacks to do. So, this encourages you to maybe throw in another minion like the Skeletal Arsonists. Who knows? It's a very interesting concept to me. Maybe you throw in like Storm Mages and use the support that makes ignites on enemies, or that shocks on enemies that are ignited never expire. Who knows? Like, it's a very interesting concept, and it is definitely a gem that makes that style of build stronger. One thing I do want to note about it, though, is that the use time of the command skills scales with your cast speed. So having something like cast speed on your focus will make it go a lot faster. And the Arcane Tempo support gem will not actually affect this. So, for something like Skeletal Mages, or the Frost Mages, that unfortunately will not make the command skill go any faster, which is pretty unfortunate, but yeah. Definitely something I'm considering trying out. There is, this patch is overall really good for balance, is basically what I'm trying to say. Skeletal Arsonists are still going to be totally fine, and, yeah. Really interested to see what's coming out with this, because, like, honestly, it's like, I have so many builds I want to try. I might even want to try Detonate Dead Blood Mage. I kind of want to play a melee build at some point. I kind of want to try out the Frost Mages. And, maybe even mess around with the bow builds. I kind of just want to play a little bit of everything, almost. It's like, I don't know. It's really cool. New game. New fun to be had. Anyways, yeah. Skeletal Arsonists are fine. Balance change is good. Hopefully I can actually get an update to the pure Skeletal Arsonist summoner. That's my first priority. After the update occurs. And then maybe I will experiment with some other things after that. Anyways, we're really signing off. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time.